What if I told you the playbook for winning a global war was rewritten a few days ago and the old superpowers didn't even realize it? For decades, the formula was simple: the most advanced jets, the deepest pockets, the loudest voice. That is who ran the world. But in 2026, we're watching something that wasn't supposed to happen. Five major strategic objectives backed by the most military powerful alliance on the face of the earth have all stalled out. So the so-called unsinkable post-1945 world order hasn't just hit an iceberg, it's taking on water from every single direction, and it's deep into the ocean. So if you are a smaller nation caught in the wake, the real question is, how do you stay afloat? So let's look at the scoreboard because it's not subtle. The recent conflict involving the US, Israel, and Iran was framed as a decisive operation. The goals were clear and they were set. First, trigger regime change in Tehran. You know, the expectation was mass unrest. It didn't happen. Second, shut down the nuclear program. Strikes were carried out, but the centrifuges are still spinning. Third objective, which these powers had regarding Tehran, is force total surrender. The fourth one, I would like to say, install a preferred leadership. They wanted to install a leadership of their own. Fifth, reshape the region into a new Middle East under Western management and under the hegemony of Israel, Greater Israel. So, five objectives they had set, but they achieved zero. Not more than that, but zero out of those five. So that's not a bad stretch. That's a breakdown in strategy. What we are seeing is a hard truth. High tech doesn't automatically beat high resilience. When the wreckage of $1 billion stealth platform can't be hidden because someone with a smartphone is standing next to it, the illusion of invincibility disappears in real time. So why now? Because the unipolar world is over. The idea that one capital could make a call and the rest would follow the suit, that era is already gone into the heavens. What we are stepping into is a multipolar system. So look at how Russia and China responded during this conflict. They didn't rush it. They didn't escalate it. They just waited. It was strategic movement. It was strategic patience. No shots were fired by these two powers. Just a quiet observation as the existing order spent both money and credibility. And power in 2026 isn't just about military force, it's about control of choke points like the Strait of Hormuz, where roughly 20% of global oil moves. If that passage is disrupted, the impact isn't regional, it's systemic. And it's, of course, global in nature, due to which every single country on the face of the earth is going to be impacted. If not now, of course, in the very short time, they will be impacted, and they will be impacted very hard because every single country depends on oil. So, where does that leave smaller countries? That's a question we need to ask. You can't disappear from the map of the earth. You cannot outspend the major superpowers. So you play a different game. The game which Iran has been playing successfully. But based on the geographical location and the enemies and friends which you have around you, you have to, balance your strategy. You have to choose a strategy which suits your best interests. First of all, what you got to do is stop choosing sides. The era of client state is fading. The countries that are adapting are you know multi-aligning. They source technology from the west, infrastructure from the east, and build security relationships closer to home. If you're locked into one camp, you are exposed. If you maintain multiple relationships, you gain flexibility. So, the second thing which we would like to recommend based on the analysis which we've been making about economies of the world for the last 30 years or so, you got to make your economy shock resistance. If your currency is fully tied to the US dollar, you inherit every ripple effect coming out of Washington. So countries are diversifying. Diversification is the name of the game in these days. Expanding local currency trade, experimenting with digital payments, and reducing dependency on any specific economic system or any specific currency. That's the name of the game, and that's a strategy which every single country should be playing. There, we should also be investing in domestic energy, renewables, local grids, so a conflict thousands of miles away doesn't immediately drive up basic living cost and doesn't immediately put you in a big trouble, as a lot of countries these days they are facing as we are speaking. The third strategy, the third option which we would like to recommend to our viewers is that these countries they got to prioritize regional strength over distant approval. Individually, smaller states have limited leverage. Of course, there is no doubt about that. But collectively, they don't. Regional cooperation is becoming a force multiplier. Neighbors matter more than distant patrons. So the post 1945 system had an 80-year run. That is significant, pretty significant. But 2026 is making one thing clear. Even dominant systems have expiration dates, and the cost of ignoring can be very high. So for smaller, more agile nations, this isn't a moment for panic. It's a moment to adjust. Because when the giants start to lose their balance, the advantage shifts to those who know how to move between them. So my friends, the world is changing. The only real question is, are you still watching it through the old lens? Or are you preparing for what is actually coming next? Thank you.